Sukanti is scavenging for food in the riverbed. Weeds, snails, whatever she can find. She knows hunger. Her father died of it last November, her mother a few years ago. Sukanti now lives with her uncle in the village of Modubelli in Orissa's Nuapara district and must earn her keep. She's 10 years old.
A poisonous tuber. But for these starving villagers of Bargar in Orissa, it's their only food. They know it's poisonous, but they have no other option. Surviving on wild leaves and mawa. The meager food often causes stomachaches and vomiting.
On 14th February, Samali Bai's husband Subhe Singh died, asking for food 20 kilometers away from his own village of Kopekasa.
Everybody who dies from hunger on this planet is assassinated.
India today is a happening place. It is the hub of the IT revolution. Are its bustling high-tech cities camouflaging what is really happening?
గోళీలు తెద్దామంటే కూడా పైసలు లేకుండా పెట్టిండ్రు సార్ ఇచ్చుకున్నాం మాకు తిందామంటే తిండికి లేదు సార్ తిందామంటే తిండికి లేకుండా
ఏం లేక అద్దె కైకిలు దొరకకుండా అయింది కాలంలో కైకిలు
ఇక్కడే ఆధారం లేకుంటాయి సార్ మాకు ఎట్లా చేసినా మీరు
Roughly 143 starvation deaths have taken place in Medak district alone during the last 1 year. And maybe an equal number of people also have died in the other district. We don't have authentic figures. For Medak, we could collect the information from the newspapers. Similar figures we don't have for the other district, but whatever news appeared in the state editions of the newspapers, they show that around 130 starvation deaths have taken place from 2001 to 2004.
Raju is a school teacher. He has taken upon himself the task of keeping an account of those dying of starvation or taking lives in desperation.
అక్కడ వరంగల్ జిల్లాలో బాగా రైతు ఆత్మహత్యలు జరుగుతున్నాయి ఇప్పుడు బాగా 97 to 98లో పత్తి రైతుల ఆత్మహత్యలు బాగా జరుగుతున్నాయి. అక్కడ కూడా నేను ఒక లిస్ట్ తయారు చేశాను అక్కడ ఉన్న రోజు. అట్లే రైతులు అంటే మాది కూడా రైతు కుటుంబం కాబట్టి ఎందుకు అసలు రైతులు ఇట్లా ఆత్మహత్య చేసుకోవాల్సిన పరిస్థితి ఏర్పడుతుంది, అసలు ముఖ్య కారణం ఏందని బాగా తెలుసుకోవడం కోసం ఇక్కడికి వచ్చిన తర్వాత కూడా నేను ఇక ప్రతి ఇయర్ కూడా దాన్ని టేకప్ చేస్తూ పత్రికల ద్వారా వచ్చినాయని కూడా టేకప్ చేస్తున్నాను. అయితే రైతు ఆత్మహత్యలకు ఆకలి చావులకు చాలా దగ్గర సంబంధం ఉంది సార్. రైతుకు ఆకలి చావులకు అయితే ఎప్పుడైతే రైతాంగం ఆర్థికంగా అభివృద్ధి చెందారో అప్పుడే ఆకలి చావులు తప్పకుండా అవుతాయి. ఎందుకంటే ఒక వ్యవసాయ రంగానికి తర్వాత ప్రతి వృత్తికి కూడా దగ్గర సంబంధం ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి అవినాభావ సంబంధం ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి ఎప్పుడైతే వ్యవసాయం కొట్టుబడుతుందో ఆకలి చావులు కూడా వ్యవసాయ రంగానికి సంబంధించినవి కాబట్టి దానివైపు కూడా నా దృష్టికి మళ్ళించడం జరిగింది.
These starvation deaths are taking place not only in Mahbubnagar and Anantapur, but they are also taking place in districts like Medak and Nizamabad, Warangal, Karimnagar, which are supposed to be relatively prosperous districts.
From the shining India, let's move to the red part of India. It has been the left citadels for almost 3 decades. Are things really any different here?
আমার স্বামী না খেয়ে পান গুছিয়েছে, জল খাইয়ে আমি 2 দিন রেখেছি আমার স্বামীকে, আর আমি কিচ্ছু খাবার দিতে পারি না। অফিসে যাই আমাকে কিছু খাবার দেয় না, 4বার 5বার গেছি আমাকে ফিরে আনছে। আর কিছু বলতে পারছি না, আমার শরীর কাঁপিয়ে গেছে। 3 দিন 3 রাত আমি আমার স্বামীকে জল খাইয়ে আমি পান হারাইছি। আমার স্বামী আমার বুকের মধ্যে পান হারিয়েছে। মাঝতে হয়, দুয়ারে দুয়ারে যেতে হয়, কোনোদিন পড়েও থাকতে হয়। আমি আমার বরের যেদিনে ভিক্ষা হইতো সেদিনে খাইতাম, যেদিনে ভিক্ষা হইতো না আমি জল খাইয়ে পড়ে থাকতাম। 1 বছর ছিল ছোট ছোট, সেইগুলো বিক্রি করলাম, আর গ্রামে ভিক্ষা মাগলাম। আবার পরশু দিনে আবার যাব, কাল বাদ থাকবে। যেমন পাবো নিয়ে আসবো, স্বামীর নামে আমি ভোজ করব, আর আপনারা দেবেন, আপনাদের ইহাইও ভোজ করব।
স্বামী কি হয়েছিল, ডাক্তার দেখিয়েছিলে?
না দিদি, পারিনি। ডাক্তার দেখাতে পারলে আমার স্বামী মরত না। কোনো কর্মও করতে পারি নাই, কোনো রোজগারও করতে পারি নাই। করতে যাবো গদ গদ করে পড়ব। খাবার যখন না পাই, মনে হয় যে নিজের হাতে নিজের জীবন পান আমি শেষ করে দেবার মন হয়, তো আমি পারি না। একটা মায়া বসে।
In spite of so much of press publicity, in spite of a report going in spite of the commissioner coming in and asking questions, steps have not been taken. You know, and you still get reports of extreme deprivation. I think recently there's been another death there, a 6th death that had taken place in that area only. And but the government is not doing anything about it. Similar thing is happening in Purulia also. In spite of repeated reports, nothing is happening. And Murshidabad also the same.
এটা আমি বিডিও সাহেবকে দিয়েছিলাম, বিডিও সাহেব আমাকে কিছু সাহায্য করতে পারে নাই। চাল গম টাকা পয়সা সবই বলেছিল, কিছু দেয় না। আমার 5বার যাওয়া হয়েছিল, 5বারে 1বার পেয়েছে। 30 টাকা পয়সা, অনেক আগে। আপনার খাওয়ার শরীরে বোঝা যাচ্ছে, অমনিভাবে আমাকে কথা বলেছে। তাকে সেখানে আমি কিছু জবাব দিতে পারিনি। কোনো জবাব দিবার আমার কোনো ক্ষমতায় কুলিয়ালিই না যে আমি জবাব দিব।
Kolkata. From here, a British company once ruled the country. Long after the imperial capital moved to New Delhi, the city remains the center of leading multinational corporations associated with tea. Let's go behind the gloss of its advertising and packaging to understand what goes into our daily cup of tea. These are the picturesque tea gardens that brighten up our day each morning. Hidden behind the natural beauty is a dark saga of starvation and death. Hunger is no longer a stranger to these people. They live in constant hunger, warding off death. The most severely affected are the tribal people, the single women, the old, and children. It is their peculiar circumstance that makes them vulnerable. They are the first to succumb to the cycle of malnutrition and death.
तो नाम का है के?
नीलिमा।
नीलिमा का?
उराम।
नीलिमा उराव। तो माँ बाप कहाँ है?
गाढ़ा में।
गाढ़ा में? मतलब नाखे? सिराला? कानिया सिराला? बगन बंद है एक बात में? खाना बिना खाना से सिराला? कि खाना बन रहे?
नहीं रहे।
नहीं रहे। এখন अगर भाई बोन कहाँ? भाई बोन तो कितना भाई बोन रहीस तुनी जमा?
मर गया।
क्यों न खे? कितना जन रहीस तुनी?
চারজন
চারজন এখন তো একলা বাঁচলে তা কাহা বাঁচিসলা
হিয়া
तो नाम का है के
বিশু
बिशन का
ভক্তা
बिशन भक्ता घरे के क्या है तोर
দুই ভাই আহে
दुई भाई माँ बाबा का होला तुम्हार
মরলেন
का नियर मरला
बीमारी होके
बीमारी होई के उ टाइम बागान खुला रहे कि बंद रहे
বাপ তো বাগান বন্ধ হতো
मोरा मन बगान खुला रहे से गिर मरल
और बाबा
बगान बंद होते रहे से गिर मरलक
का हुई रहे तोर बाबा के
अटक से
बीमारी रहे बहुत दिन से की
रहे पहले बीमारी रहे
तब डॉक्टर देखा ले नहीं देखा ले तो का लागे लोग भक्ता
बहुत ही भैंसुर है के हमर
तो भैंसुर है के ई छोवा के की तो नहीं देखिस
मैं देखो ना
का नाम है तो
वो ना मुन्नी
मुनी
हाँ
तो बूढ़ा है
ना के वो भी मरलक
वो भी मरला
हाँ ये तो अप्रैल महीना 1 तारीख के
तो उ जे मरला के तो कानिया चलत है मन के कानिया देखत है
चला था कोनो हरत करके मिलत है नहीं मिलत है कभी मिलत है तो खाते नहीं मिलत है नहीं खाते
हमारे यहाँ गार्डन का जो वर्कर है कर्मचारी उन लोग बहुत ही से बहुत मिनिमम 400 से 500 आदमी मर गया खाना नहीं पाया ट्रीटमेंट सही टाइम नहीं पाया उसका बावजूद पानी नहीं है हर चीज़ उसका बाद में देखा गया है हमारा कितने आदमी हैं हम बोल दे रहा है मर गया जो जैसे कि हमारा यहाँ है गोबरेल लाल उधर है डिम्बू नायक मंगरा मुंडा उसका बाद में महावीर भोक्ता कर्मी गोसाई उसका बाद में हमारा यहाँ बहुत सारे था उतना तो नाम बोल नहीं सकते हैं
অর্ধেক লোক তো মারাই যাচ্ছে মানে এখানে এরকমও ফ্যামিলি আছে পুরো ফ্যামিলি শুদ্ধ শেষ হয়ে গেছে এরকম কয়েকটা ফ্যামিলি আছে এখানে প্রথম প্রথম সব ওই জংলি কচু ঘাসের গোটা ফোটা কি সব হাবিজাবি এসব খেয়ে খেয়ে তো অসুস্থ হয়ে হয়ে মারা গেলই খাওয়ার অভাবে ইসের অভাবে মানুষ তো মারা তো যাচ্ছেই আর তাছাড়াও মানে চুরি ডাকাতি তো শুরু হয়নি কিন্তু হলেও হতে পারে এখন বিচিত্র কিছু নেই এতে खाना साना
खाना तो है रोटी भात थोड़े थोड़े अब जे मिलत भर पेट कहाँ पारबू अब धाजी रखवा को नतर खाते रही
कितना दिन होला कुर्सी जाला
इसने होला कोई ये तो पुष महीना तो 21 तारीख के खत्म होला
अच्छा এখন কানিয়া চালাতে তো নির ঘর
का लेके चली मैं तो कोनो हिट खे नहीं पारो कोनो बार चाल खे नहीं पारो ना छोटे बड़ छुआ कोनो तराने कमाई गल खाइला नीलाने कहाँ से खा
बिना खाए के भी दिन गुजराएगा
हाँ तो
মূলত দেখা গেছে যে এই 22টা বাগানে বন্ধ হওয়ার পর থেকে যতদিন অবধি সরকারি সহায়তা পাননি বা অন্য কোথাও কাজে যেতে পারেননি ততদিন অবধি প্রত্যেকটা বাগানেই প্রায় 150 থেকে 200 অ্যাভারেজ তার বেশি হবে কোথাও মানুষ মারা গেছেন স্পেশালি বাচ্চা বুড়ো এবং মহিলা এদের অবস্থাটা সবচেয়ে খারাপ থেকেছে তো গভর্নমেন্ট তো স্বীকার করতে রাজি নয় যে স্টারভেশন ডেথ তারা তো চান যে ডক্টরস রিপোর্ট কি বলছে ডক্টররা তো কখনো বলবেন না যে ওটা স্টারভেশন ডেথ তারা বলবেনই যে ও কজ অফ ডেথ হার্ট অ্যাটাক অর যেটাই হয়
Now what happens when someone is malnourished? When someone is lived with such low weights, the body adapts itself to low intakes of food. And when the body adapts itself, cells have shrunk already. A body has shrunk, the cells have shrunk. So the line between the severe malnutrition, which is called chronic energy deficiency grade 3, and death is very small. Now such a person, if such a person starves for another 4 or 5 days, they are likely to die. What is it now we will find on forensic examination? Absolutely nothing. Now it is true that just before dying, all the systems give way, in the sense the gastrointestinal, the kidneys, the heart. So the doctor will write it's heart failure, but every death is heart failure. It's a heart that has to fail. So there isn't any dramatic thing that you will see. And therefore, we must now take it back to where it belongs, back to the villages, back into the homes, and then investigate there. And it's not very difficult. I think in our villages, we still have a sense of community where people will tell you, look, this family has been starving. So we must accept that. When a family starves, of course, they are desperate. There are things that they will do which so-called normal families will not do. They migrate in large numbers. They eat foods which are very unusual, foods that are not normally eaten by you and me. They will beg. They will sell all their household goods, etc., etc. I mean, you could look at, and this should be the way of classifying hunger and not use a medical model for hunger.
उसको ये आगे व्यवस्था नहीं बन पाई उसकी डॉक्टर के पास भेजा तो कैसे भेजा पैसा नहीं है हमारे पास में पैसे होते समय पे तो उसको ले जाते बच्ची को इसलिए बच्चे दोनों खत्म हो गए दोनों बच्ची हमारी 2 साल हो गए कुछ मजदूरी ना रोजगार मिला कुछ नहीं मिला गाँव में गोरा है
तो कैसे का
गुजारो कर रहे हैं मजदूरी के कहीं जाते हैं इधर उधर घर छोड़कर बाहर चले जाते हैं गेहूँ काटने चले जाते हैं इसलिए गुजारा कर रहे हैं और जो हमारा ही कॉलोनी है वो भी काम नहीं है कोर्ट का वो भी काम नहीं दिया जाना क्या है हमसे नाराज हुई सरकार
Meet Shantabai Shinde. She is the widow of Bala Shinde, who once worked in Century Textile Mill, Mumbai, and lost his job a couple of years ago. Today, she bravely faces life, making envelopes to earn her daily bread.
सब घर में बर्तन बर्तन सब गया कौन किधर पैसा मांगेगा छोकरी पर मर गया दवा का पैसा नहीं तो क्या करेगा छोकरा मर गया 18 बरस का खाने पीने का हालत हो गया बीमार पड़ गया पैसा नहीं वो मेरे को मेरा कैसा उतन कैसा हो गया नवरा गुजर गया टेंशन लिया ना ऐसा कैसा हो गया 2-2 4-4 बजे खाना नहीं मिलता रात को ऐसा तड़पड़ सब क्या करेगा टेंशन है हार्ट अटैक आया मर गया मरने के बाद भी पैसा नहीं कौन देने वाले
The most dramatic development in recent times has been the phenomenal increase in India's defense budget. Since the Kargil War in 1999, India has more than doubled its defense budget. After China, it is the largest purchaser of arms in the world.
India is becoming a global power. India is becoming a global power. India is becoming a global power, not because the United States is making it one, but because India is a democracy that is emerging to take on global responsibilities. It has the population, the reach, the increasing economic clout to do that, but the United States wants to be supportive.
As this global power marches ahead, most of its citizens are being left behind. In times of high-tech corporate farming, these vast numbers still depend on a low-tech, no-nutrition diet. Gourmet cuisine may be the new passion of the visible Indian. Getting edible food to satiate the nagging feeling of hunger is the full-time job of millions of its invisible citizens. And many a times they do not fully succeed. Hunger does not distinguish between the poisonous and the palatable. Gruel from mango kernels regularly causes death. One more life extinguished. Still, life goes on. There is no choice except embracing death. It is just a matter of time. All are ready, waiting for their turns.
The point is that the efforts of some 40 years after independence have been completely wiped out in the last decade. In fact, the last 14 years, I would say, of neoliberal economic reforms. Today, we are back to a per capita availability of only 155 kilograms. So if you take an average family of 4 members, that means that almost 100 kilograms less per annum is being absorbed by an average family in India today, which is a phenomenal drop. If you make international comparisons, today we have the lowest per capita food grains availability outside sub-Saharan Africa and some least developed countries.
Whatever the media may want us to believe, most Indians still live in the villages and depend entirely on agriculture. And what is the state of agriculture that contributes 26% to our national GDP and provides employment to 58% of our vast population?
If you look at the absolute amount which is being spent, which was spent last year under the UPA government, it was a mere 15,000 crores of rupees on rural development, which includes agriculture and rural development, irrigation and flood control, village and small-scale industry. Now, 15,000 crores of rupees was being spent 18 years ago during just after the drought of 1987. So it's a phenomenal drop. It's an absolute cut, leave alone a relative cut. And every 100 rupees that the government spends less on development means, because of the operation of reverse multiplier effects, that incomes go down by 400 to 500 rupees, unemployment rises. So that is what has produced the crisis of rising unemployment, falling incomes and falling purchasing power, particularly in rural India.
This shrinking of purchasing power is responsible for the drop in food grain consumption. In plain words, a vast number of invisible Indians do not have the money to buy food that they grow. As people lose their purchasing power, they are unable to buy grain from the public distribution system, popularly called PDS. In the decade following the implementation of the new economic policy, the sale of food grains in the Russian shops halved. And what was the state's response? People don't seem to need the food grains any longer, so let us restrict food subsidy to those living below the poverty line.
Public distribution system is the biggest system in this country to provide food security to millions of people. It has reached almost every small village. It functions in every small village and therefore is accessible to everyone. And amongst the food security schemes, therefore, this is one of the important and vital system which unfortunately the government is planning to dismantle. Why are we saying that is because the actions of the government in central as well as Maharashtra state speak for itself. First it was that PDS offered substantial food grains to families. That was for a family of 5, it used to offer about 70 kgs per month. This was reduced.
4 kg కార్డ్ అనే వానికి ఒక కుటుంబానికి 1 మెంబర్ కార్డు 4 kg. ఆ 1 మెంబర్ 4 kg ఇస్తే 4 kg సరిపోతలేదు అక్కడ. అయితే మాక్సిమంలో 10 నుంచి 15 kg కంపల్సరీ కావాల్సిందే ఒక మనిషికి. రోజు హాఫ్ కేజీ నాని 15 kg కంపల్సరీ కావాల్సిందే. అయితే మేమేమంటామంటే అమ్మ నీ కార్డు మీద 4 kgలు వస్తాయి, 4 kgలు ఇస్తాను నేను అంట. దాంతో కొన్ని గొడవలు అవుతున్నాయి. 2 మెంబర్స్ 8 kg. 2 మెంబర్స్ 8 kg అంటే 8 kgలు ఇద్దరు మేము తింటారు సార్ అక్కడ. పొద్దు సమానం పని చేస్తాడు 8 కిలో బియ్యం సరిపోతాయి ఆ నెల మొత్తంలో. సరిపోని మాట అది. అట్లా కాకపోతే ఏంటంటే మ్యాక్సిమంలో ప్రతి కార్డుకు ఒక 20 kg అనే బియ్యం ఏర్పాటు చేస్తే కానీ మనం అడ్జస్ట్ అవుతుంది సార్.
Due to pressure from the World Bank, the state has totally changed its policies, public distribution system, revamped the public distribution system. Earlier, the card holder, the BPL card holders were getting 25 kgs per family at the rate of 3 rupees. This was hiked up and the price has gone up to 525 and the quantity also has come down. Instead of 25, they are now supplying a maximum of 20 kgs.
I guess one of the things I do enjoy about working at the World Bank is no one argues about the mission. The mission is how to reduce poverty. And there have been some amazing successes in the last 20 years around the world, including here in India, in reducing poverty.
Government of India has very proudly told the whole world recently that poverty in India has reduced from 36% to 26%. Has poverty really reduced, or is it statistical jugglery? Now, the poverty line can be seen in two ways. You can look at the calorie intake, or you can look at the income of a person. If you go by calorie intake, as Professor Patnaik has done, Professor Patnaik, in her book, The Republic of Hunger, studying the NSS data, the National Sample Survey data, has found 700 million people consuming less than 2,400 kilocalories per person per day, which is the poverty line fixed in 1979. So 700 million people below the poverty line. Government goes by the cash standard. The cash standard today, according to government and the Planning Commission's latest figures, is 17 rupees per person per day, 1/3 of $1 per day. 17 rupees is not even enough for an employee in my office to come from his home to the office and back by bus. And that is the poverty line which the government relies on. 1/3 the $1 a day standard, which is the old international poverty line, and 1/6 of the new international poverty line, which is $2 per day. So by artificially reducing the poverty line, the government imagines poor people disappearing all over the country.
The poverty estimates we are being given are absurdly low. If you turn that monthly figure into a daily figure, it's a very simple exercise, anybody can do it. 2004 poverty line, Planning Commission, rural India, 344 rupees. Divide by 30. What do you get? You get less than 11 rupees 50 paisa per day. On 11 rupees 50 paisa per day, the Planning Commission is telling us that somebody in village India is supposed to meet not only the food requirement, but all the non-food requirements: fuel, clothing, housing, education, transport, on 11.5 rupees per day. So the poverty line varies from less than 8 rupees a day to 11.5 rupees, maximum 12 rupees a day. That's what it is. And we are being taken for a ride. These estimators should be asked to go and live only for 1 week in a village. That is my suggestion. Give them, hand them, each of them, 7 times their daily estimate. Give Planning Commission members 80 rupees to live on for 1 week. And tell them, we will give you shelter, we will allow you to keep your clothes, but you have to meet your food costs, your medicine cost, and your transport cost out of this 11.5 rupees maximum per day. I will tell you they'll run away in 1 day because all they will be able to buy is 1 bottle of mineral water, that's all.
రాసిన 20 కిలోల బియ్యం ఇస్తారు సార్, అది 5.5 చొప్పున. అవి 20 కిలోలు వేసిపోతుంటాయి. ఇంకో 20 కిలోలు 30 కిలోలు తీసుకొస్తుంటాయి, అవి వేసిపోతుంటాయి. ఇక అవి మిరప కూరగాయలంటే అవి అంటే ఇవంటే వీటికే వెళ్ళక అట్లా సంసారం. ఆమె బాగలేక కొంచెం చాలా మందులకైనా చాలా పెట్టి కూడా అందలేము మొన్నటి నెలల మందులు.
PDS functioned perfectly well. Of course, there were minor problems here and there, but for 25 years up to 1991, it functioned. So why did the problem start after 1991? The problem started because when people lost purchasing power, they were unable to access food grains even from the PDS. You had a fall in sales from the PDS, from the fair price shops. From 20 million tons in 1991, it fell to less than 10 million tons in year 2001. Okay? Now, the procurement operations were going on. It is not as though people did not need the food. All right? They needed the food, but they simply did not have the purchasing power. All right? That is why you had the stocks building up. And most of the subsidy was going more and more towards the cost of holding the stocks alone. So what do the liberalizers then turn around and say? They say the PDS is not working. And the cost of holding stocks is too high. The food subsidy is too high. Well, you're responsible for it. So this is the sad thing, that a problem which has been created by neoliberal policies is then turned around, and a dismantling of the PDS is being advocated by the people who are responsible for the malfunctioning of the PDS itself.
Ramada's family was relatively well off. Gradually, the family lost their property and land towards paying off debts for buying seeds and fertilizers. This has been the fate of many small farmers under the new economic regime.
ఇవి తింటే బతకగలుగుతావా మరి కంట్రోల్ బియ్యం తోటి బతుకుతున్నావా
నడు ఇట్లా లేవలే అంగలే పడైపోయినా అనుకున్నా నడు మాకు అంత మక్కలు తిని పెట్టిండు ఇట్లా చాలా మంది గట్టిగా తినలేక నడు లేక బాధపడ్డారు.
ఇప్పుడు ఆస్తి అంతా ఎందుకు అమ్ముకున్నావమ్మా?
మా తండ్రి ఆయన తండ్రి పాడాడు, మా అత్తమ్మ గట్టినే పానం పాడే, ఇక్కడ 2 ఏళ్ళ దాకా ఇట్లా కష్టపడ్డారు. ఇక బతుకుని పెట్టిన బిడ్డ రాయికద్ద బాగా అనిపిస్తుంది, ఉండేది కాదు ఇక ఎక్కడో వెళ్ళిపోయింది. అది బాధ కాదు బిడ్డ, భూమి మీద నేను బతుకు పెట్టినాను. 13 నెలలు బియ్యం కోసపడ్డా. ఈ బాపల గడిచాల ఉన్ననాడు ఇచ్చిండు, లేకుండా బాధశాల ఇచ్చి ఇలా తీసుకోమన్నాడు. నా కష్టం చల్లకుండా ఇళ్ళది చచ్చిపోతున్నా. 13 నెలలు కోసపడ్డా బియ్యం లేక, కంట్రోల్ లేకున్నా బదిలాకుండా ఇంట్లో బియ్యం తీసుకొచ్చుకున్నా. దగ్గర తినే బియ్యం కూడా మా ఆడు అడ్డ తీసుకొచ్చుకున్నా, చాటు తీసుకున్నా.
The story of starvation amidst plenty is the same, only characters and the locations change. The stark gap between the rich and the poor in India today is sharper than ever before. It is, however, visible to only those eyes that wish to feel it. The attractions of low-interest car loans and housing loans have no meaning for millions with no stable incomes. For their lives, the greatest challenge is arranging the evening meal. It was in such a scenario that the Supreme Court of India's intervention brought a ray of hope. Many who felt strongly about the state of affairs approached the court, the upholder of the Constitution that believes every Indian to be equal before the law.
When we went to the Supreme Court in 2001, there was a feeling of despair in the people's movement. Nothing can be done. We are a poor country, we can't help it. We have to live with starvation, we have to live with malnourishment. The case in the Supreme Court changed all that, and I must say it was the attitude of Chief Justice Kirpal who set the ball rolling. When government said we had no money to implement the schemes, Chief Justice Kirpal said, I remember this vividly, he said, cut the flab somewhere else. Either you do it or I'll tell you how to do it. Cut the flab somewhere else. And by a series of stunning orders, the Supreme Court reinstated the midday meal scheme. The Supreme Court said that the Anganwadi centers should be doubled from 6 lakh centers to 12 lakh centers. The Supreme Court began an investigation into corruption in the public distribution system and strengthened the system of ration shops. The Supreme Court reinforced the scheme, the Annapurna scheme, where old people get a sack of grain every month. The Supreme Court said pensions to old people should be paid by the 7th of each month. The Supreme Court said that there should be a food for work program and questioned the government and said, what's happened to the right to work in this country? Should you not have a statute? And ultimately, as you know, now we have the Employment Guarantee Act. And the Supreme Court said, you must implement the maternity benefit scheme where poor women got 500 rupees for every childbirth. That is what the Supreme Court did. It reinforced the notion that food security for poor people is mandatory in India, and the government cannot say, we have no money, we have no funds, we have no resources. It's not acceptable. They must implement the food security scheme in the country.
अभी 1 साल हुआ।
अभी आज कार्ड पे आपको क्या क्या मिलता है?
2000 साल में मिला।
2000 अभी यहाँ कार्ड पे आपको क्या क्या नहीं मिला?
कुछ नहीं मिलता है।
राशन तो नहीं देता है, खाली घासलेट देता है बस।
राशन हम लोग आज मिलेगा, कल मिलेगा, बहुत तड़प रहा है, लेकिन मिलता ही नहीं है। 1 तारीख को देगा, 2 तारीख को देगा,
6 तारीख को देगा,
अगला महीना में देगा।
कुछ मिलने के लिए कुछ कोशिश किया था?
बहुत कोशिश किया।
क्या क्या किया आपने?
आजाद मैदान में मोर्चे लेके गया, उधर बड़ा ऑफिस का उधर मीटिंग लेके गया। हम लोग पूछेगा तो देगा, ये महीने में देगा, अगला महीने में देगा, ऊपर से आर्डर आना मांगते हैं।
देखो सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो आदेश था कि बेघर लोगों को कार्ड मिलना चाहिए, वो हिसाब से हमने महाराष्ट्र सरकार के पे हम लोग ने ये किया, तो महाराष्ट्र सरकार तो परिपत्रक निकाला, खाली इसकी अमलबजावनी नहीं हुआ। इसलिए हम रेशनिंग पूर्ति समिति से तरफ से हम लोग हाई कोर्ट में, बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट में हम लोग वो केस दाखिल किया। उसके बाद उन्हें 2 अक्टूबर के लिए उन लोग को तुरंत एक कार्ड देना चालू किया। 2 अक्टूबर से आज तक एक कार्ड के ऊपर कुछ अनाज नहीं, कुछ दिया गया नहीं, खाली कार्ड दिए, कोर्ट के आदेश के तरफ से कार्ड दिए, पर उसके ऊपर अनाज है, वो अनाज दिया गया नहीं।
First of all, it's very, very difficult for people to get BPL cards. Even when BPL cards are given, the government says, the officers of the government say that look, we have a quota. We have a quota, for instance, 500 for Bombay. Okay? We have finished our quota. Now any more BPL cards we can't give, because otherwise it will appear as if in Bombay a lot of people are very poor. Okay? So they go by quotas, they don't go by actual poverty. And if you don't go by actual poverty and go by quota, then the people who are actually deserving of getting cheap grain will not be able to get it, because they don't have those cards.
BPL list is very unreliable, that has been established in many places. Many poor people are excluded from the list because the methodology is fundamentally flawed and is also not appropriately applied. So I would be in favor of abolishing this BPL approach and having a universal system based on self-selection, whereby people decide for themselves whether they want to use the PDS.
It's not merely government giving employment, it is also government giving us an economy that gives everybody work and food. Now that's the direction that the Right to Food campaign at the moment is taking.
High Court passes orders after orders after orders, and still children keep on dying. The government every time comes up with some beautiful affidavits, which are some 80 pages and 100 pages as to how they have implemented the orders. But when you talk to people at the ground level, when you talk to NGOs, you realize that not one order has been implemented.
The exhilarating feeling of a full belly still eludes millions. Complexities have increased, as despite having their entitlements clearly spelt out, the benefits that were to follow are nowhere visible in their lives. Nourishing food, essential to assert the right to survival, is being denied. Millions of invisible Indians are forced to die a slow death as they are eating less and less. Today, an average Indian consumes a mere 155 kilograms of food every year. This is exactly what she was consuming at the time of independence. An Indian today eats half of what an average Chinese eats. If you are lucky to be born in Europe, you may be eating 4 times more than an Indian. The average American eats 6 times more than an Indian. Once again, the poor have been shortchanged. 100 days of work at approved minimum wages have been promised, for which they were to be paid in grain and money. Again, there was the proverbial slip between the cup and the lip. Machines cornered the employment opportunities, and the food got lost in scams, often finding its way out illegally to neighboring countries.
In the public distribution system and also in the SDRY, which is the employment scheme, there are many delivery issues, and wherever we go we find that there are problems. But the state governments have not been able to sort out these issues. For instance, I found that machines are being used and workers' names are written, in employment schemes, but wages are not being paid to them because work is being done by machines. So the bogus, large number of bogus names are entered.
पलामू जिले में और एक मजेदार खेल निकला कि वहाँ ऐसे कुछ मस्टरोड थे पलामू से जहाँ लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में लोगों का नाम लिखा है और राइट हैंड साइड में उनका अंगूठा और हस्ताक्षर और बीच में खाली वो बाद में मस्जिद वो पढ़े तो that's also another way in which any amount of money can be siphoned off with impunity.
Although Maharashtra has had this Employment Guarantee Act in place since 1978, there has been a systematic effort within the state itself to sabotage the act at various levels. And therefore, it was like getting the whole machinery into action to really implement a right which has been long denied. And employment guarantee schemes works used to start in fits and starts according to the whims and fancies of the administration and then closed down. Agencies were not interested in running employment guarantee programs because it was much better to give it out to contractors where they took money while they issued the tenders, they took money while they passed the bills, and they had no problems in between, they had no work to do. So this was a very lucrative process, and therefore everybody is very loath to do these schemes because here you have to actually do the works yourself.
तुमच्या गावातले माणसाच्या बरुशा मी मंजुऱ्या केल्यात कारण तुमच्याच गावातला ठेकेदार माणूस झाला म्हणजे तुमच्या गावात आम्ही मंजुरी आणल्यात त्याची कमीत कमी 2-3 पोत्याची आम्ही लुस्कान केले तुमच्या गावातली हा पेमेंट भेटला का तुम्हाला पैसे देऊन टाकतो ना तो येऊन आम्हाला भांडायला लागला कारण माझी आता परवापाशी मग त्याचं मी काय करणार ना होईल पेमेंट हा बकरा आणलं होतं बकरा आमच्या खायची सवय होती मग त्याला आणलं शेवटी 2 बकरे आणले होते तर या लवकर पेमेंट करा मी खायसाठी नाही पाय आमची अशी गरीब लोकांची कशी स्थिती आहे ही बघून घ्यायची तुम्ही उठल्या तुम्हाला घरी तुमच्या मी घरी येऊन जाऊन कामची मंजुरी आहे तुमच्या घरात येऊ का काम केल्यावर तुमच्या घरात मी पदर मांडायला काम मंजुरी द्या म्हणून केलेलं काम याची तुम्ही काळजी तुम्हाला पाहिजे ना रस्ता तुमचा चांगला होणार तुम्ही चांगलं होणार तुम्ही साहेब लोक and आम्ही असं तुम्ही खाऊ तेला तुपाशी आम्ही रवी ठेवू पाशी.
Of course, non-payment is considered forced labor, bonded labor, particularly because these workers are Adivasis. We even go and file atrocities cases, but the police are very loath to do all these things. They don't want to increase their paperwork, and they keep saying it's a labor matter. Go to the labor court.
Let us now look at the big cities, where hordes of hungry and unemployed villagers are arriving in search of work and food.
बम्बई शहर करीबन 150 साल से एक औद्योगिक की नीति के वजह से बढ़ा और पूरे देश के मजदूर यहाँ आए और रहना शुरू किया। तो आज जिस तरह उद्योग बंद हो गए, यहाँ के पूरे कपड़ा उद्योग नहीं तो पूरे उद्योग बम्बई शहर के बंद हो गए और बेरोजगारी बढ़ गई। करीबन 5 लाख 10 लाख से लोग आज बेरोजगार हो गए। तो मजदूरों की हालत तो ऐसी हो रही है कि बहुत सारे लोग तो समझो दवाई नहीं मिली, उनको वक्त पे ऊपर खाना नहीं मिला, इसकी वजह से बहुत सारे लोग मर गए।
Let us take a brief glimpse into the real cost of the glitzy shopping malls and fancy multiplexes sprouting all over the big cities. After systematically rendering millions of Indians jobless, their workplaces were closed down, dismantled, and real estate sold off at exorbitant prices. Coming up in its place are these islands of happening India, where the visible Indian can be spotted. These few Indians do not care how the rest of them die. They are too busy following the advertising dictate of living life king size. In their world, the invisible Indian is almost an alien from outer space. Strangely, this is happening in the name of development.
एक बुरी हालत में बम्बई शहर का मजदूर गुजर रहा है और सरकार उसको कुछ नहीं देखती। सरकार बार बार ये कह रही है कि हमको बम्बई शहर का शंघाई बनाना है, शहर का विकास करना है। लेकिन शहर का विकास करते वक्त ये जो मजदूर है उनके हालात को देखा नहीं जा रहा है।
Meet some brave people who once earned their livelihoods working in these factories. From skilled workers to menial jobs, this is how their career graphs have progressed. NoEmployment.com have come to their rescue. Figures can be manipulated to present a rosy picture, but reality cannot. Indians continue to die of hunger. Indians are working harder for lesser wages. Less wages means less food and lower immunity to fight diseases. In this way, through its policies, the state is denying millions of Indians their basic right to food, without which they cannot live and access any of their democratic rights.